Today, we look at the bases of 4 sci-fi factions. Hey guys, hello and welcome to day 2 of the EckhartsLadder Factions Compared Week. Today, we look to 4 different sci-fi universes in an effort to determine which has the best, well-defended base. Today's video is sponsored by the EckhartsLadder Twitter. If you want to see my daily thoughts about Star Wars and just the world, or if you want to interact with me personally, follow me on Twitter and feel free to send me a DM. Anyway, today we'll be looking at Coruscant from Star Wars, Earth from Halo, Terra from Warhammer, and the Citadel from Mass Effect. Without getting into big debates about the different power levels between universes, we are going to try to determine which one of these locations is most well defended. And again, we're going to try to keep things logical and fairly objective. Let's start with Star Wars and the economic, political, and social heart of the galaxy, Coruscant. Coruscant was really an extraordinary planet, and the faction that held the Ecumenopolis usually ruled the galaxy both practically and symbolically. Unsurprisingly, throughout most of its history, Coruscant has had a sophisticated defense system. Most of what we know about Coruscant comes from the Rogue Squadron novels and the Yuuzhan Vong War. In the former, we hear Wedge say that a direct attack on Coruscant would be more costly than both Death Star raids combined. That's just how well defended the planet is. Coruscant's defense was multi-layered. First was the powerful planetary shield. Unlike Hoth, for example, where the shield only covered a portion of the planet, Coruscant had dozens, if not hundreds, of powerful shield generators. The entire planet, during times of war, could be protected. Coruscant's shield could be manipulated to completely cover the planet, open up small holes, or drop the shield entirely. It was fairly sturdy, and individual portions could only be destroyed if overloaded by continual turbolaser barrages. The shields were effective against both energy and particles, preventing vehicles from entering or leaving the atmosphere. Outside of the shield, orbital facilities struck out against any invaders. Gull and weapon platforms were used extensively around Coruscant and were typically equal in power, at least, to an Imperial Star Destroyer. In addition, Coruscant would have also made use of fighter bays, weaponized skyhooks, and other unknown stations. The final element of the space-based defense would have been any orbiting fleets. Depending on the capabilities of the faction holding Coruscant, the size of the fleet could have varied greatly. In Legends, during the days of the Republic, even as the Outer Rim sieges waged on, over 1,000 capital ships protected the planet. The New Republic also had a dedicated Coruscant home fleet, as did the Empire. Needless to say, it's likely that there would be a substantial force orbiting the planet. Finally, we have ground-based defenses, and I don't think it's ever been confirmed that Coruscant had any ion batteries or ground-based turbolasers. We do know, however, that there would have been smaller turbolaser batteries used for anti-aircraft purposes stationed on the planet's surface, which would only really help if the planetary shield was pierced. Next up, we have Earth from the Halo universe. By the 2550s, humanity had experienced fairly substantial advances in technology, especially space-based technology. However, despite humanity's many colonies, their homeworld is still the most important place in the galaxy. Earth's defenses start at Jupiter and beyond, where humanity has set up advanced listening posts. These are used primarily to identify any approaching vessels, but don't seem to be weaponized in any way. Mars also has a full shipyard and planetary defenses, but it's unlikely that those would act as first line of defense during any attack on Earth. The planet's defenses practically are two-pronged. First is the Orbital Defense Platform. Earth made use of 300 ODPs. These were extraordinarily powerful, capable of taking down a Covenant ship in one shot. Orbital defense platforms, however, were not without vulnerabilities. Even when fired by AI, they weren't effective against smaller ships, and although they did have some point defense cannons, we see during the attack on Earth that they can be taken down by strike teams, and any smart attacker will just stay out of range while the cannons are destroyed and a hole is pierced in the orbital defense array. Supporting the ODPs was the Earth Home Fleet. The UNSC was pretty much always spread fairly thinly across the galaxy, but there were always substantial forces left to protect home. We see the Home Fleet most directly in the 2550s, so that's what we'll use for this matchup. I think it's safe to say that proportionally, even taking into account differences in power, the UNSC and the Home Fleet was smaller than, say, the fleets that protected Coruscant. We've never seen Saber platforms or any other orbital stations other than the ODPs above Earth, nor have we seen any major ground-based structures other than the elevators. Next up, let's go to Mass Effect's Citadel. The Citadel is a gigantic space station created by the Reapers of the Mass Effect universe. In modern Mass Effect, it's used as a capital and meeting place for the Citadel races, as has traditionally been the case for thousands of cycles. For this video, we'll be ignoring any Reaper shenanigans associated with the Citadel, including the Reaper backdoor, and instead we'll be focusing on the defensibility of the station itself. The Citadel only has one way to directly repel any invaders, and that's the Citadel Fleet, which, at its peak, was a substantial force made up of dreadnoughts and other ships contributed by Citadel member races. When accounting for differences in universe power, the Mass Effect Citadel fleet was very large, and we know that Saren's attack on the Citadel in Mass Effect 1 was only possible because much of the Citadel defense force had been shifted across the galaxy. There are, however, other aspects that make defense of the Citadel easy. First off, it's near a Mass Effect relay junction, so it's easy to get reinforcements near the Citadel with only a moment's notice. However, the Citadel's best aspect is its ability to close its outer shell. This makes the space station nearly indestructible and protects everything on the inside, including individuals and important system components, from anything short of a week-long barrage. However, besides for some small point defense systems on the Citadel's surface, it doesn't seem like the station has any other way to directly repel invaders. So I can imagine a scenario where if the surrounding fleet was defeated, the inhabitants of the Citadel could basically be starved out, although that would definitely take some time. Finally, we have Terra, or Earth, the ancient home of humanity in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. I'd like to thank everyone from the Warhammer channel on the EckhartsLadder Discord for helping me out with this topic, especially you, Doom. It's said that resistance and defenses of the planet Terra increases in lethality the closer one gets to the planet itself. At the edge of the Sol system, thousands of deadly mines, cyborg servitors, and others stand against any intruders. As one approaches Earth, the density and ferocity of fortresses, legions, and weapons platforms increases dramatically. Here's a quote you guys might like. Over to their left, the vast curve of an orbital plate gently turned, its withered gray armor stretching off into darkness. Defense stations loomed further up, each the size of cities, studded with the Gape Mod Nova cannons and Graviton world enders. A colossal grand cruiser, bearing the symbol of the Battlefront Solar, crawled off into the middle distance, escorted by wings of frigates. Between those giants swam shoals of lesser craft, fleet tenders, guide tugs, the hundreds of orbital lifters, all of them fat and clumsy, riding on dull red cushions of plasma glow. From this quote alone, we see that the planet is exceptionally well defended, protected by Nova cannons and other superweapons, along with multi-kilometer long stations. Terra was also defended by fleets of thousands of vessels, many of which were among the largest available to humanity. Orbiting above Earth was also the moon-sized Phalanx, an almost unstoppable force on its own. Add to this countless legions of space marines and members of the Adeptus Custodes, the fact that Luna, the Earth's moon, is totally weaponized, and the fact that all information and people within the solar system is tracked directly. I think it's understandable why the solar fastness calls the defenses of the Sol system almost unpenetrable, something that's incredibly impressive in a universe as large and powerful as that of 40k. With my description of these four factions out of the way, let's now rank the defenses from worst to best. Coming in at number 4 is humanity from the Halo franchise. I honestly never thought I'd say that because I love the orbital defense platform so much, but they're definitely fairly vulnerable. We see during the first attack on Earth that just a couple of Covenant cruisers were able to pierce the defensive grid and make their way to the planet's surface. Covenant reinforcements also managed to totally overwhelm anything protecting the planet, but that's not really a knock against Earth. They were totally outmatched. I do think, however, that even proportionally, the fleet protecting Earth was a lot smaller than the other ones on this list, which, along with ODP design issues and the fact that Earth's defenses aren't very varied, is why Halo gets the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3, we have the Citadel from the Mass Effect universe. Now, if the Citadel couldn't close, it would be number 4, but I think its ability to totally shrug off any attacker at will is pretty impressive. Still, relying on your fleet only to directly repel invaders is not preferable, but I think it's enough to earn Mass Effect the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, we have Coruscant from the Star Wars Legends universe. Coruscant has a multi-pronged defense system, the orbital shields, the golem defense platforms, typically a large and developed fleet, and anything available on the ground. However, it cannot compete with Terra from Warhammer 40k. Even ignoring differences in power, the fact that there's a planet in Warhammer which is basically sort of safe tells you a lot about the total amount of resources just dedicated to defending Terra. That, however, is just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know by voting in the upper right hand corner. Also, make sure down in the comments you let me know any future Factions Compared episodes you'd like to see on the channel. Remember, this is day 2 of 7 days of pure Factions Compare, so make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you haven't already. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.